What's up, YouTube? Scott here with the Carrera Cafe. Just bringing you guys another 958 Cayenne video. I made one for you guys about a week ago that it seemed like you guys enjoyed. I wasn't too happy with the microphone setup in that video, so I wanted to bring you guys another one. This video is primarily just kind of highlighting what I would consider to be some hidden gems with the 958 Cayenne. We're gonna hop in, take it for a drive, and I'll kind of highlight some of those items for you guys. This will be a cold start, so I'll leave the door open so you guys can hear it as well. It's a little cold here in the Midwest, so let that fuel pump turn on. Oh yeah, she's cold. So the first item that I really take for granted in this vehicle is it has a 12-volt cigarette plug under the dash, which makes it really easy to connect something like a radar detector or a dash cam or a GPS unit, right? Otherwise, you'd have to have wires run here, or you'd have to do some type of hardwire setup in the mirror, which not everybody is comfortable with. Porsche put a cigarette lighter underneath the glove box to make it real easy to plug things in and kind of keep the wire out of the way, which is really awesome. The second hidden gem that I've noticed during my 2-year ownership of this vehicle, so this does get parked outside sometimes, so I might come out in the morning and there's dew on the windshield, right? So I give the wipers a 1 flick to get the dew. If I put the car in reverse, shortly after doing that, I get 1 automatic swipe of the rear wiper without me doing anything. The car knows, hey, you know what? He wiped the front windscreen. He probably wants to wipe the rear too, since he just put the car in reverse. So that kind of automatic wipe, and when you put it in the rear in reverse, is really cool. This car doesn't have a backup camera because it's 12 years old. This just has the parking sensors that wasn't optioned with the camera, so I do turn around and look out the rear window. So having that 1 automatic wipe is pretty cool. I'm gonna do a little bit of driving since we're on some windy roads, and then I'll get into kind of the next couple hidden gems for you guys. You can see the suspension's lower in here. Let me throw the suspension in sport. I had it in comfort there. Now, my vehicle is currently on Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires, so you won't see me throwing this thing in the corners too hard. I intend to kind of do a light overlanding build with this vehicle, so it's already got some all-terrain tires on it and some wheel spacers. I'll more than likely do a Eurowise lift kit at some point if I keep the car for a long time. But it does take away a little bit of its cornering capabilities because of the tires. I do really enjoy the sound that this car makes. I think it's probably one of the best sounding V8s you can get. In my opinion, it's Aston Martin V8 Vantage, and then this Porsche V8 that they used in the Cayennes and the Panamera. I think the exhaust and engine sound is a very good combination of muscle and exotic. This car has a traditional torque vectoring automatic, so when you shift gears, you get this really nice kind of growl during the upshifts. Unlike the PDK that's shifting much faster, this car has a transmission, a torque vectoring transmission, so you can tow. But because of that, it makes a really cool and angry kind of growl. I'll try to get it to do it here between first and second for you. See that kind of that growl as it upshifts, man. It sounds good in here. It sounds even better outside. All right, now we're kind of back on more of a straight road. I'm gonna give you guys a couple more of the hidden gems that I really want to highlight in this car. So the next one, it's very common for cars to have memory seating nowadays, right? You get in, you've got the memory switches over here, which will typically do the mirrors and the seating position to make it easy if you've got multiple drivers. What I'm surprised is just how many things Porsche has tied to these memory key functions. One of the things it does is climate. So if you always want the car to be 70 degrees and automatic climate turned on in all the zones, set the climate and set your memory over here. And every time you get in the car, no matter what the climate was prior, as soon as you start the car, it's going to go to 70 degrees automatic. It even does the audio settings in the stereo. So it will do the bass, the treble, to your memory settings. So I like kind of bass in the middle, treble in the high. If my wife likes it differently with maybe more sound in the rear or something, she could have her own audio settings. One of the things that really threw me was the default volume. So for the first couple months I owned this vehicle, I would get in, start the car, and the radio would immediately come on like half volume and pretty much scare you in the morning. What had happened is I set the memory settings on a day when I was cruising down the road, rocking out. Maybe I had a wobbly pop or two in me. So I had set the volume halfway when I was doing my memory settings, and it saved that. So if you want the radio to be kind of quietly on when you start the vehicle, have the volume set there and hit the button. The configurable gauge pod here, I've got mine set to do coolant and oil pressure, but you can configure those, and again, they're going to save based on that memory function there on the side. One of the other things that I think Porsche did a pretty good job in, considering, again, this is a 12-year-old vehicle, is the lighting in here. So I'm a stickler when it comes to quality and over-engineering. The dome light in this vehicle is actually pretty intuitive, and some of you might not know how it works. So one of the things right out of the gate that I really like that Porsche has done is lights don't just turn on and off, they fade in and out, right? That's just a kind of a quality thing, something I enjoy. But the dome light actually has two different settings. Right now it's kind of in what I would classify as like ambient or like soft lighting mode, right? Which is this switch here. If I turn this, gotta hit pretty hard, I think. Let's see here. Nope, sorry, it was the next one. That was rear lighting. This one here turns on and off kind of this ambient mode, right? And when you turn that on and off, it also does the footwell lighting and some additional lighting kind of in the door cubbies and pockets. The middle is what turns on and makes this actually bright. So it's got a kind of a setting in between. On top of that, Porsche has actually given us in the gauge cluster here a way to adjust the interior ambient lighting in the doors. Now, that's separate from the dome light. That is this little strip down here in the door here. And again, this is a 12-year-old vehicle. These are some things that we've kind of grown to expect with newer luxury cars, but the fact that Porsche was doing this in 2013, even 2011 if it was the first year of the generation, is pretty cool. So again, some configurable ambient lighting. The last item on my list, and take this with a grain of salt, I was a BMW enthusiast before I was a Porsche enthusiast. So what that means to you all is I didn't know how to use my turn signals, right? So now that I own a Porsche, I do use my turn signals, and I'm somebody who appreciates the one-touch signal, right? You tap it, and it blinks 3 times. That's pretty common nowadays, but Porsche actually lets you in the settings menu, I don't think I'll be able to get to it while I'm driving, but you can actually change how many blinks you get on the one-touch. You could have it blink 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, essentially letting you pick how respectful you want to be of the people around you when you make lane changes. So configurable one-touch turn signals are pretty cool. There's actually still manufacturers out there that don't even do one-touch. My wife has a 2021 Lexus GX460, which is pretty much a $60,000 SUV, and it does not have one-touch turn signals, which is pretty surprising. So those are just kind of some of the kind of hidden gems I would consider in the 958 Cayenne. Hopefully some of you watching are scratching your heads and saying, oh, you know what? I did learn something. For those of you who are maybe interested in buying a Cayenne, I plan to do some kind of more in-depth reviews and kind of ownership, but today I just wanted to highlight kind of some of those hidden quality of life things that Porsche has given us in here. So I'm actually going to leave this in sport, but I'm going to switch my suspension back to comfortable. That way I can change the ride height. Even with my all seasons, I can ride in the lowest height, but I traditionally drive around here kind of in the tier 2 height. I'm thinking about doing a Eurowise lift kit, so I can get another inch or two kind of in the overlanding setup. So, but I'll get out and kind of do a quick walk around and give you guys some sound clips of the exhaust. But I just think the shape of this car is great. It's timeless. And to the untrained eye, I mean, you wouldn't really necessarily know the difference between this Cayenne and a brand new one. Us enthusiasts know that the headlights have changed. They've kind of gotten slimmer and have kind of this more diamond LED daytime running light now. The taillights have gotten updated, but for the most part, the Cayenne has been kind of the same shape for the last 15 years or so. And For those of you that don't know, this is kind of the middle generation Cayenne, right? There was a Cayenne before this and there's a Cayenne after it. The Cayenne before this pretty much saved Porsche. In the early 2000s, they weren't doing too well financially, and this vehicle is what kept Porsche in business, was the Cayenne before this. And I would argue that they kind of pioneered the sports SUV market, right? Prior to that, you know, there wasn't too many SUVs that were performance oriented. You know, I think BMW with their X5 back in 2000 kind of started to get into that market too, but I'll give you guys a couple revs. Really nice sound. Well guys, that's it for today. If you enjoy content like this, please like and subscribe, and I appreciate you guys sticking around. As time passes, I hope to bring you better quality content, more content, not just Porsche stuff. We're going to do other German car stuff too. Like I said, I've got another vehicle on the way that I'm going to own for a few months to kind of give you my thoughts and feedback on it. So thanks for tuning in.